Hello, and welcome to, or welcome back to, MGBs and Other Stuff, a channel that explores MGBs and other things that interest me. Hopefully, you'll find it interesting too. If you enjoy this channel, please consider liking and subscribing. Pardon me? The overrider's not right? The carpeting's wrong? No. No, it can't be. No. No! Hi folks, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you had a good holiday season, and I really hope that 2023 will be a good or better year for all of us. I wasn't sure if I had enough stuff to talk about to make another video for this season, but it seems that viewers like you have been providing me with enough feedback that I have some material to make at least one more video before spring gets here. I'm going to focus mostly on cosmetic stuff rather than mechanical, since the engine in this car is a couple of years later than the car itself, and I'm not expecting that it would be organized in the same fashion as an original or correct car. I think I'll save the engine bay details for a later time. I'm going to switch out my hats here. I have a receding hairline, so I bought this little driver's cap from Moss, and I really do like it for driving in the summer with the top down. I find a baseball cap, the brim of it here catches the wind since my head sits above the windshield so much. But these are really designed for driving with the top down, and I really do like them. This will be kind of like a viewer MAIL2, and I'm going to address some of the things that you've left in the comments. And plus a little bit of other stuff sprinkled around. So I hope you find this one interesting, and as always, if you like this channel, please consider liking and subscribing. Also, please leave comments and questions, as I find them very interesting, and they always provide me with insight into all aspects of MGs and actually other topics as well. And I would suggest that if you read some of the comments that other folks have left, you might find some of them very informative as well. And by the way, you won't hurt my feelings if you point things out to me that might be wrong or that I'm wrong about. There seems to be a bit of a hesitation to point out things on my car that aren't correct, but really, please do. I never expected this car to be perfect, and I doubt it will be. And like always, I bought this car to enjoy it and really just to drive it. And whatever keeps it going down the road is fine by me. So again, I hope you find this video at least entertaining and maybe a little bit informative. In my last video, viewer mail, I responded to some of the stuff that you had mentioned in your comments. And today I thought I would add some more stuff that you've mentioned and give you a few updates. I'll start with the steering wheel and stuff that's sort of associated with the dash and the instrument panel. Now, I've seen very similar steering wheels in my Google searches, I think on 2 or 3 different websites. One of them was showing a restored one that was for sale and was listed as a Speedwell made by Formula. So that was a starting point. The other sites that I saw the wheel on didn't have any information on who the manufacturer might be or what year it may be. And again, I don't really care that much, but I have one of those brains that just doesn't want to let go of this kind of stuff. So I fell down the YouTube hole and of course the Google hole, and I did find some information and a really good website. Anyway, here's an update on the steering wheel. Now, I've been looking high and low for a brand or manufacturer of this wheel, and at one time I considered it was a Leston, but I couldn't find one with 5 holes, and almost all of the Lestons I've seen have had the LL logo on it. And then I found some Jaguar wheels that had 5 holes, but they were all the wrong size. I think about 16.5 inches in diameter, and mine of course is 15 inches. And then I stumbled upon a really excellent website called Mark I Performance Conversions. And I'll leave a link to it, either up there or in the comments. And this is an excellent resource that's really dedicated to early minis, and it's very well curated and has information on accessories, old brochures, BMC stuff, and anything that has to do with really aftermarket stuff for minis. And of course, by association, there's some hidden gems there that relate to MGs. And you should really check it out. I found it very fun just to browse around. So because the wheel has no maker's mark or anything that I could find that would indicate who made it, I've decided it's probably an aftermarket wheel supplied by Speedwell. And Speedwell was kind of like the Moss Motors of its day. And they, I think in the early 60s, late 50s, started producing aftermarket parts for BMCs, mostly performance parts. Anyways, this one I think is a Speedwell, and it would be manufactured by Formula, but it may not be, but I'm fairly certain that it is. One thing I forgot to mention was the mirrors that are on the car now. I know they were part of the restoration process 20 years ago, but I was chuffed to see that in the same brochure, Speedwell brochure, they were offering very similar mirrors, so they're at least period correct. Next up are 2 words that I actually had to look up. One is Bionicle and the other one is Nacelle, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing those right, but I went to Wikipedia, fell down another Google hole, and a Bionicle is a waist-high case or a stand on the deck of a ship that's generally mounted in front of the helmsman, and navigational instruments are placed in that for easy and quick reference, as well as to protect the delicate instruments. But it also says in there that a Bionicle can also refer to the cluster of instruments and switches mounted in a circular casing on or near the steering wheel of a car. Now, a nacelle is a little more convoluted, but generally refers to a housing that is shaped to accommodate a mechanism. It's often associated with aircraft and is usually exposed to the elements. But I found references, especially to motorcycles, where the instruments and the headlight are all housed in a nacelle, they call it. At any rate, I understand that a feature of early MGBs is that there's a chrome strip that ran around the inside of this Bionicle or nacelle, or I'm going to call it a thingy. And when I read in the comments, I was sure that my car didn't have one. And then I thought I'd go out and photograph it for this video, and lo and behold, there is a chrome strip around it. I don't know why. I never noticed it before, but that's a tick for an early feature of an MGB. So now that we're still on the dashboard, there's a couple of more things that I've noticed that are not correct, and one of them is the overdrive switch. And so apparently on the early overdrive switches, the switch itself was just a straight switch, very much like the heater fan switch. Mine, of course, has a little crook in it or a bend in it, and that was a feature of later MGB overdrive switches. The other one is the choke pull. Apparently on early MGs, the C on the knob itself is very small, and I have a large one, and I'm going to throw up some photos of that for you to look at. Probably the most significant thing that's wrong with this car, well, maybe not wrong, but not correct, is that the front fenders are not correct or original. And come to think of it, in the before pictures of the restoration photo album that was given to me when I bought the car, doesn't show the car at all with those fenders in place. So they must have been pretty rusted out. But I'm going to throw up some images of a correct and not correct, or the change. So the distance between the grille and the side indicator lights on early MGs are quite wide, and of course the ones on my car are quite narrow. So they must have been replacements at the time of restoration. And I was also looking at some of those other restoration photographs, and I noticed that the door skins were probably all replaced too, because they appear black or with a coating on them that probably came from the supplier like that. I think the frame and everything is original, and they were just reskinned. I'm not sure at the time this car was restored that those correct fenders were even available. They may have been, but I'm not sure. I don't have any dates on that sort of stuff, but maybe the dies weren't available at that point. So all the replacements were coming with that narrow gap. And that may explain why there's 2 British Leyland badges on those fenders. They shouldn't be there. The car is obviously originally wouldn't have come with a British Leyland badge on it. One other thing I'd like to mention is that about the interior carpets and upholstery. And I know that it's all been replaced in probably with just a standard kit. And I know there's a lot to be desired with carpeting in this car. And if you want to really see a beautiful example of a correct interior, I would direct you to Right Way Heritage Trim. Now, his car is a real stunner, and I think he's sold it now, but I'm going to leave a link to that site. It might appear up here, but a really beautiful example of actually original carpeting. And I think the only thing he changed in it was the upholstery on the seats, and he kept all the original vinyl and restored it. And I always keep meaning to show you one thing that for sure is not original to this MGB. In fact, it's not original to any MGB unless it's a GT, and that's a back seat. So the previous owner had a GT seat installed in the back, upholstered, and I think he wanted to be a bit unique when he was showing the car, and it's kind of amusing to me that it's there. I mean, it's totally unusable as a seat, but it's there, and I'm not sure if I'll keep it or not, but in the meantime, people always really comment on it. Oh, and I did have a request to show how I mounted my stereo in the passenger side footwell, and really I'm a little embarrassed to say that it was an installation that was more jerry-rigged than installed. I had plans to create a secure mounting system with brackets and all that sort of stuff, but I ended up using foam blocks and zip ties and just secured it up there. It serves my purposes, but it would make a professional car stereo installer throw up their hands in disgust. Anyways, it was a very cheap Blaupunkt stereo that I got at Walmart. I'm going to show you some pictures of it. Maybe you can figure out how I installed it. But it is a very lay-person installation. Now I'm going to leave you with a couple of questions that I hope you can answer, and maybe not. And the first one is about tonneau hoods and tonneau covers, hoods, and the top boots. I know the hood that I have is the vinyl, at least, is a replacement, but all the hardware that's in it is original to the car. What I'm wondering about is that I can't seem to find any information on how to determine the originality of the tonneau covers and the top boot. Again, I don't really care if the ones that came with the car are original, although it did say in the heritage certificate that it came with a black tonneau, and I do have a black tonneau that looks very old, but it would be interesting for me to know. Well, folks, that's all from me today. Please check back, like, subscribe, hit the notification bells wherever they are. And if you're interested, I may have a couple more videos in the to work on, especially if you leave some comments. I got a crackling log in there. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I really do appreciate your feedback.